Welcome back to Wisco Fanatics Tuesday evenings. This is going to be our first show of the 2026 Green Bay Packers season. Today we are talking free agents and a couple of trade ideas. So we're going to go. We have 15 guys on each side of the ball. So we have 15 offensive players, 15 defensive players. And then after that, we'll talk about any pending Packers free agents that didn't get discussed during the discussions. And then we'll do our trades. So we're going to hit the intro, and we're going to get started with free agency.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
All right. Do you want to start on offense or defense?
Start on defense.
Okay. So going over to defense, you want me to go first or you want to go first?
You go first, man.
All right, I'll go first. My number 15 guy on defense that I have is Cam Thomas. He is a defender for the Cleveland Browns, a defensive lineman. Way I think of him, he's cheap depth. Cheap depth. Think like a Lowry / Lancaster type depth. He's 26. He had a 65.5 run defense grade, which again, we always take PFF grades with a grain of salt. But 60 is their average, so 65.5 is a pretty decent run defense grade. He did have 13 pressures in 155 run snaps. So that's an 8.4%. That's 13 run stops. 8.4% run stop percentage, which out of a defensive lineman who are usually being blocked and or double teamed is pretty decent. So that's what I'm looking at as my number 15. So Jake, who's your number 15? Connor, welcome back.
My number 15 is DJ Reader, defensive tackle from the Detroit Lions. I've been on this guy for the last few years when he was on the Cincinnati Bengals before he signed with the Lions. He's just a really good run defender. I have been pretty vocal even during the trade deadline last year that I thought that defensive tackle was a bigger need than cornerback. It's much easier to hire a cornerback than it is to hire a defensive tackle. Obviously, we saw that towards the end of the year. So DJ Reader would be my number 15.
I actually also have a defensive lineman from Detroit as my number 14. I have Levi Onwuzurike.
Ooh.
He is almost 28 plus missed tackles. 28 plus missed tackles. He missed 28. Jeez, can't talk. He missed 2025. I'll get it eventually. In my mind, he would also be cheap. He had 47 pressures and 447 pass snaps in 2024, which is a 10.5% pressure rate. Had 20 run stops and 244 run defense snaps, which is 8.2%, and a 66.5 PFF run defense grade. And I'm just going to throw this out there. So I actually have my guys organized into tiers, and it'll probably work better to visualize this as a text post than as a podcast. But on defense, I started with 75 players. I wrote down 75 different players on defense that are free agents. I ruled out bad run defenders, players that gave up high completion percentages, players that had high missed tackle percentages, and then just guys that I think will cost too much. So I got down to 21 guys that way. And then I cut it to 15 relying on Spot Track's market values. So that's kind of, if you hear me say what any guy's market values are going to be, that's based on Spot Track's market values. I do think that that's a pretty reliable site when it comes to stuff like that. So if you hear me reference that at all on offense or defense, that's where I got it from. So Jake, 14.
So my number 14 is a guy that I like, but this guy was in the draft. This guy played for Tampa Bay, another defensive lineman, Logan Hall. He kind of fits the Packers' Bill of Rights, I guess I'll say. He's a multi-positional guy, can play inside, can play outside. He's a good run defender. He would just be a good rotation piece for the Packers that could use some depth along the defensive line.
All right, this is going to be another – you're going to hear me say the Browns and the Panthers a lot. Number 13 is DJ Wonnum. He's another cheap depth defensive lineman from the Panthers. He was healthy in 2025 and had decent production. He's also 28 as an edge, but Spot Track's market value is $5.8 million on him, so I think that's pretty affordable for the Packers. He had 31 pressures in 396 pass rushes, which is just under 8%. which is a little bit low for an edge guy, but did have 3 sacks, a 61.6 run defense grade, 23 run stops, and an interception. So I think there's some versatility there. Kind of like what we see from Kingsley Enagbare a little bit. So when we get to trades, you'll understand why I have a handful of edge guys on my list, but we'll get to that after free agents. So Jake, hit me with your number 13.
Yeah, so my number 13 is a guy that Green Bay Packers fans are going to be familiar with. It's Quay Walker.
Okay, I dig it.
People are going to ask, why is he so low on your list? The reason being is I think that he's overpricing himself. And I think that when he comes back and he realizes that he's going to find out that linebacker is a position that's not paid unless you're a top 5 guy. Is he a top 5 guy? No, not right now. Could he be a top 5 guy in the future? Who knows? I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. So I'm not going to say that it's out of the realm of possibilities. I do like Quay in that he's starting to learn this defense to be the 3rd defensive coordinator he had now. But I do like him for this defense because he did show some ability to attack downhill last year. So that was nice to see. When he was in, you could tell that the run defense was different. Get some more hogs up front, and then I think that he could be out for a breakout year, honestly. So Quay Walker at 13, I think bringing him back wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, just a quick note. I don't have any Packers in my list. I did the Packers separate on my list, so Jake will have some in his, which is totally fine. I'll give my thoughts on the pending free agents after we're done with offense and defense. So looking at number 12, I have AJ Epineza from Buffalo. He is an edge guy valued at 9.2, which I think would be right at the edge of what the Packers can spend. Scott, welcome back. I thought about this. I went into it, and I could see the Packers having about $10 million to spend. So that's kind of where I capped the free agents that I looked at and put into my list. So Epineza would be like kind of right at the edge of that. He was a strong run stopper in 2024. He had 30 run stops with a 61.6 grade. Only had 18 run stops and 213 run stops, which is still 10%, which is decent. But he was productive as a pass rusher. He had 28 pressures and 249 pass rushes, which was 11.2%. But he only had 3 sacks. So if you look back at his previous couple of years, he had 6, 7, and 7 in the last 3 years. So I think there's an opportunity to maybe buy low on him a little bit. He did have 5 bat downs and 2 interceptions. And then 20 run stops was a down year this year, but if that can be used to get him at a discount, great. So, number 12.
What's up, Scott? How we doing, man? All right, so number 12, this is a defensive lineman from a good defense last year. I have John Franklin Myers. You're going to notice a trend on my list. I would like some veteran leadership up front. I would like guys that have been in the playoffs. I would like guys that know how to get after it. You're going to notice the same thing in my trades. I have people that are good on bad teams is really what I have.
I like that.
There's value there, right?
Yeah.
So John Franklin Myers is coming from a winning team. He's played a lot of winning football. They need more depth at the defensive tackle position. He's a tough guy, good run stopper. So John Franklin Myers would be my number 12.
Jumping to number 11 for me, I have Derek Barnett. He's a 29-year-old edge rusher from Houston. He could be somewhat affordable. He, in my mind, is another guy that would be kind of similar to Enagbare. Had a 7.7 pressure rate, which is a little low. 6 sacks, which is decent. 69.1 grade. 8.5 run stop percentage and a 59.6 grade there. So just kind of an average, affordable edge rusher depth.
Yeah. So my number 11, it's going to sound crazy, but this guy was going absolutely nuts, forcing a ton of turnovers last year, but it was for the Chicago Bears. Narshawn Wright. The Packers could use a guy at the cornerback position that actually knows how to hold on to the goddamn ball. Don't you think that would be nice?
Yeah.
Now, I just talked about cornerback position, and it's easier to hide them. But when you're getting quick pressures like that, every once in a while, the quarterback just has to throw the ball in the air. It'd be nice if we had a guy that could just grab it and take it the other way for some yards. Yeah. So Narshawn Wright obviously had a coming-out party last year. Usually that stuff doesn't, happen in back-to-back years. But maybe you put him in a different scheme and we use him in a different way. Maybe he can have back-to-back years where he's forcing a bunch of turnovers. But he clearly has a nose for the football, which the Packers desperately need in 2026.
Yeah. Number 10 for me is David Onyemata, 33-year-old defensive lineman from Atlanta. I think he's appropriately priced around $8.1 million is his market value on SpotTrack. He graded as an above-average pass rusher at 67.1, had 21 pressures and 325 pass rushes, which is only 6.5%. But again, for D-line, that's pretty decent. But he was fantastic in run defense. He had a 74.2 grade. He had 28 run stops in 308 run defense snaps, which is 9.1%, which out of a defensive lineman is pretty good. So I would be very interested in doing like a 1-year deal for like $8.5 million, given that he's 33. But you're going to hear a lot of defensive linemen on my list, which goes to Jake's point that the depth is needed there, especially with some of the injuries that we saw last year. And I'm still not 100% sold on Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden. So I wouldn't mind having a little bit more depth in front of them.
Yeah, those guys are clearly depth pieces. They're good for when, excuse me, the starters need a little breather, right? They can come in, play their 20 to 30 plays. They can make a play in that time period, plus fresh legs. Yeah. So I absolutely 100% agree with you, obviously. I have another corner, and this guy played for Green Bay a couple of years ago, and he was probably the last ball hawk we had at the cornerback position. I Rasul Douglas, and I have a top 10 defensive free agents because he is a guy that can get after it, and he'll tackle as well. That's something that I took into consideration with these corners when I was putting some of them on my list. I was like, I need somebody that is like at least throw a shoulder in there, dude. Because the amount of times I've seen corners diving out of the way in a playoff game at the goal line, or just going like this with a shoulder, like, bro, what am I looking at right now? And I hate to be the guy to throw out they get paid millions of dollars, but they get paid millions of dollars to tackle a human being. I will tackle you for free if I have to. But yeah, Rasul Douglas would be a great fit. Veteran leadership as well. The Packers, I do love that they want to go young. I respect the hell out of that, but you still need enough veteran leadership in at those certain key positions that guys that are going to be able to catch on to things, and Rasul Douglas has very high football IQ. So he's going to be a guy like, hey, when they come out in this set, like, watch for this. When they come out in this set, watch for this. Hey, this on second down, when they come out with the two tight ends, they're going to be running this, So they could use a guy like Rasul Douglas.
Justin, welcome back. And to your point, I mean, I would just use the Brewers as an example. I mean, guys like Christian Yelich and Brandon Woodruff, just as two examples of the Brewers being a super young team, but still having a couple of veteran leaders around. So I get where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
Number 9, I have Sebastian Joseph Day. I would love to get one of the Tennessee Titans defensive linemen, but unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to get Jeffrey Simmons, and we're probably not going to be able to get Arden Key. So I would settle for Sebastian Joseph Day. He's almost 31. He's a solid all-around guy, 62.9% or not percent run defense grade, 28 run stops and 251 run snaps, which is 11.1%, which is pretty good, and 65.7%. 65.7 pass rush grade. He had 21 pressures and a sack. So more defensive line depth coming from my list, which should not be shocking. So
yeah,
Justin said he would love to have Sewell back.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think he'll probably end up re-signing with the Dolphins, though. I think they'll take him back. Plus, getting a defensive head coach, he'll probably want to bring Rasul back. So just that makes sense to me. Plus, old people retire and they move down south, so that's just how it works. My number 9 is another current former Packer, and it is Kingsley Enagbare. He took leaps and bounds from his rookie season in the terms of run defense. He was one of the few guys after Parsons got hurt that I was like, yo, this guy tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Hello, everybody else.
Yeah. Anybody else.
Seriously. Enagbare was good for 1 or 2 plays a game. And again, showing that he could be a key rotation piece on this team. The Packers defensive line, you made a correlation to the Brewers. I'm going to make a correlation to, Bucs teams that we used to watch when we were younger, where it felt like they were like a bunch of B-plus players, but they didn't have any A to A-plus players on this roster. I feel like Enagbare on any given day can be a B plus player. I feel like sometimes Colby Wooden can be a B plus player from time to time. Early in the season, in that Lions game, he was monstrous.
He's got some good play recognition, but it just isn't consistent enough for me.
That's fine. Okay, I'll give him a B or a B minus. That's fine. But that's what I'm saying is they don't have enough of the A players. You know what I mean? So I feel like Enagbare is close to that. I think he could be a B plus player, a really good rotational piece, especially after the news that we heard that they're probably planning on bringing Gary back. So we'll see what happens with that.
All right, jumping into number 8. This would be another tier for me. So this would be my third tier, guys. I have Najee Johnson, a cornerback from the Chiefs. He only played one game in 2025, but in 2024, he allowed 32 catches on 51 targets, which is 62.7%, which is pretty decent. Had 2 pass breakups, only allowed 2 touchdowns. He's an okay run defender, 55.4 grade and 16 run stops. I think he's another guy that could just be affordable, and he's 6'2" from the corner position, which gives you some good size.
Very true. All right, so we're on number 8, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so my number 8 is a corner from the Los Angeles Rams. For anybody who does not know, I watch every single Rams game, just like I watch every single Packers game. My father-in-law is a huge Rams fan. We buy the Sunday ticket, so he's able to watch his team. So he sits down and he sits through 3 hours of me bitching at my TV when the Packers are on. So I sit down and I listen to 3 hours of him bitching at the Rams when the Rams are on. So Colby Durant is a very interesting guy. Very, very good ball skills. He likes to get physical. The Packers could use a little uptick in the physicality on the outside, especially. So long arms, good pass defender. The Rams were a good defense all season long, and I thought that he was one of the reasons why they were that good. So I really like Colby Durant. Also, another willing tackler.
I like that. All right, so more depth from me. My number 7 is Chris Rumph. He's a 27-year-old edge rusher from the New Orleans Saints, another guy that I think should be affordable. As a pass rusher, he was solid. He had 11 pressures and 91 pass rushes, which is 11.1%. Had 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and was very solid in run defense. He had a 67.8 grade, 16 run stops, and 179 run snaps, which is 8.9%, which is solid. So more affordable depth.
Yeah. So for me, my number 7, he's kind of a tweener, like edge, D-line, like defensive end. One of those tweener guys, but it's Draymond Jones from the Baltimore Ravens. He has 37.5 career sacks. So a guy that can clearly get after the quarterback. He's a really good run defender on a couple good defenses over the year. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Denver as well. So he's been around the league, but I think that he's a guy that could be affordable and could be an uptick for production on the outside.
Nice. Number 6, I have Joshua Uche from the Eagles. He's a 27-year-old edge rusher. Should be, again, another affordable guy. He has really good metrics if you look at it. 23 pass rushes or pressures in 142 pass rushes, which is 16.2%, which is pretty good. That would be good college numbers, honestly, and that's in the NFL. So also had 12 run stops in 87 snaps, which is 13.2%, which is also high, and had a 69.5 run grade and an 83.2 pass rush grade. So he graded well per PFF as well. Again, PFF grades with a grain of salt, but his were good. So, Jake, who do you have number 6?
Can you grab me my water? Thank you. As I'm talking live, sorry, forgot to grab my water. Appreciate you. Good night. This is live. I just asked for water for my girlfriend, so yay. My number 6 was my number 1 during the trade deadline, Calais Campbell. I understand that in football terms, this guy should be dead. He's like 1,000 years old.
In football terms.
He is very old, especially for the position he plays, but he's still productive. And one of the reasons that I put him this high on my list is he's going to a familiar coach. So he'll understand the scheme that he wants to play.
Yeah.
Again, he's a big physical guy. He wants to win. Green Bay wants to win. I believe that hunger will match at its peak. And I just think it's a fit. I just think it's a match made in heaven, honestly. I almost wanted him more than my number 1 guy because I think the match is that good.
I dig it. All right, so before moving into my top 5, this is another tier for me. So I have 2 tiers left. I have my 5, 4, and 3 are a tier, and then my top 2 guys are another tier.
Yep.
Before, when you're like, this guy's a former Packer, and then you said ball hawk, and I'm like, okay, so he's not going to bring up the guy that I have. My number 5 actually is Eric Stokes.
Oh, I almost had him on my list.
He's valued at $7.3 million per spot track. He's definitely got the better of the Stokes/Hobbs swap. Andrew said I need more hydration updates from Jake. How he discusses free agency while parked is beyond me.
Brother, I was dying, and I saw her walk past, and I was like, I'm definitely asking her when she walks back over here.
Eric Stokes in coverage last year was 28 for 50, which is 66% in coverage. Only allowed 1 touchdown, had 4 pass breakups. Had a 77.2 NFL QBR when targeted. And I always noticed he was a guy who could diagnose the screens well, which is something that just the Packers honestly have been decent at in general. I mean, we've seen Valentine do it. We've seen Nixon do it. It's just when you get to that spot, you have to wrap up. He did get a 66.8 run defense grade with his 15 run stops, but he didn't magically turn into a turnover guy. He's still just a coverage guy. So that's why he didn't end up higher on my list.
Yeah. My number 5 is a guy that kind of played for the Packers last year, and it's Trevon Diggs. I think I would like to see what that would look like with a full season under him.
Sure.
It's pretty obvious that him and Micah Parsons are close. I put stars next to the Packers that I decided to keep on my list.
Yeah.
I put a half star next to him because I didn't really know. I was like, do I consider this guy a Packer? I don't know. I mean, officially, when you look online, it says he was a Packer. So
He played snaps.
I would love to see what Trevon Diggs for a full year would look like. Obviously, we've seen a glimpse of it, and you actually brought it up last year, so I want to give you credit for this. When people talked about all the yards that he gave up, it's like, yeah, but he never played with the safety help that he has in Green Bay. I'm like, that's a great point.
Yeah.
But he is another guy that iffy tackler, but he can go get the football. We've seen what he can do with the pressure that Micah Parsons provides. He goes and plays the football. So it's just like in baseball, a guy that's not great on defense, but he gives you 30 to 35 home runs. You're okay with that, right? That's a good trade-off. I'm okay with him giving up some yards if he's going to give the football back to the offense more.
And that's where I was kind of coming from when we were looking at it last year. It was like, I wouldn't have wanted to sign him at, his like $18 million price tag or whatever it was.
Yep.
But you bring a good point with him playing with Parsons. Like you reiterated, I was saying that he's got better safety play in Green Bay than he would have ever had in Dallas. And I was willing to accept a little risk in exchange for some reward just because the Packers hadn't forced like any turnovers last year.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, like, yeah, it's great that we never bend, but we also never break the other team. Like there's never a time like, honestly, the fourth down that the Bears converted in the playoff game. If that play ends up as an interception, Packers are playing the Seahawks the next week.
I mean,
they're probably losing that game, but they're still playing that game.
And we don't lose to the Bears.
And exactly, the Bears don't get to brag all offseason about beating us in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is Benjamin St-Juste. He's a 28-year-old corner from the Chargers. He's 6'3", so he's got good size. Doesn't have a market value, but he should cost less than Stokes in my mind. He allowed just 19 for 39 in coverage, which is 48.7%, which is super low. A 62.4 NFL QBR when targeted. Allowed only 1 touchdown, had an interception, and a 67.2 run defense grade. So very good numbers from Benjamin St-Juste.
Nice. I like that. So my next guy is Jamel Dean, a corner from Tampa Bay. He had 9 pass breakups last year, 3 interceptions, had a sack. He was a good run defender, played in a really shitty division. That division is trash. But he's a good player. He's young enough where he's probably going to get paid a little bit, but his market value is not super high, and he's at a premium position that the Packers need. So I really like Jamel Dean, and he is the second highest rated corner on my list, by the way.
Nice. I have another corner on my list also. My number 3 is not a corner. It's an edge rusher from the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Charles Omenihu. He's 28. His market value per spot track is 3.8 per year. He's a good pass rusher in 34 pressures in 383 pass rushes, which is 8.9%, 5 sacks. And then his run defense grade was 75. Again, 60 being the average, 75 is great. He had 16 run stops versus 174 runs, which is 9.2%, which coming from an edge rusher is pretty solid. So solid, affordable edge rusher depth that can play the pass and the run ranks very high on my list.
All right. People are going to call me crazy for having this guy this high because his numbers do not speak to this. But this guy is he looks like an athletic freak in a league full of athletic freaks. And it's Boy Mafe from the Seattle Seahawks. I said this last year, so you can go check the tape. The Packers need more speed on the outside. You want more speed on the outside? Just go grab the most athletic guy. Go grab a freak athlete. Boy Mafe fits a lot of things that the Packers could use. Imagine, dude, just imagine having Parsons, say you make a trade. I mean, dude, there is one trade that I'm going to say that I have talked myself into mentally that it already happened. It makes too much sense in my brain for this not to happen. But if they make that trade, they have Parsons coming back, say it's week 10, and you have Boy Mafe one-on-one, buddy, you better start running because you are getting chased down. I'm going to tell you that right now. Boy Mafe would be an absolute freak signing for the Packers. And it would show me that they actually care about the athleticism of this team, something that they talked about a couple years ago.
All right, moving into my top 2. This is, like I said, where another tier would break for me. And this guy's going to be coming off a Super Bowl, so he's going to be hard to pluck. I have Josh Jobe as my number 2. Josh Jobe, however you want to say it, the corner from Seattle. He's the one that we can afford. Rick Woolen is going to get massively paid, it looks like. But he's almost 28. He allowed 44 catches versus 85 targets, which is 51.8%. Allowed just 3 touchdowns, had an interception and 9 pass breakups. And then against the run, a 74.9 PFF grade. He had 14 run stops and a sack and a 74.7 NFL rating when targeted. So very, very high on my list as a versatile cornerback.
Yeah, my number 2 is also a Seattle Seahawk, and he's the other guy. I have Rick Woolen. Man, 6'4", 12 passes defense. I mean, he didn't have to tackle last year because everybody was getting tackled by the front 4 of the Seahawks. I mean, Rick Woolen would be what we thought when we got Xavier McKinney. That's what Rick Woolen would be for us this year. Like, oh yeah, that's a perfect match for us.
Yeah,
we could use a tall, lanky guy that knocks the ball down that could guard your number 1. Yeah, we could use one of those. He would be a perfect match.
Yeah. All right. I'm really excited for my number 1 that we got to him without him being mentioned, and he's the guy that I brought up at the trade deadline last year.
Ooh.
And it is Shelby Harris.
Ooh.
You have an old guy on your list. I have an old guy on my list. Shelby Harris is 34, defensive lineman from Cleveland. I said it. Looking at the Browns, honestly, I want a piece of their trenches. Both of their trenches. They were really solid on both of the lines. Shelby Harris was on my trade list during the season. His market value is low at like $3 million, likely because of his age. But he had 19 pressures and 260 pass rushes, which is a 7.3% rate, and then 20 run stops and 249 run snaps, which is 3% with a 64.4 PFF grade. Looking at his 11-year career, he's been a great defender his entire career. Yep. So when Jake talks about things like defensive line depth, veteran leadership, grabbing a guy that wants to win, to me, Shelby Harris checks all of those boxes. And I would love to see a guy like Devontae Wyatt get a little bit of mentorship from a guy like Shelby Harris. So I would really, really like Shelby Harris on the Packers.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me. So my last guy, also an old guy, 5.5 sacks last year. You're going to be like, what the hell is this guy top of your list? Because he's going to give you 100% effort. He's a former defensive player of the year. It's Khalil Mack.
Oh.
And I was super pissed because we started talking about this probably over a month ago now. Started planning all our episodes. We were really in like the vibe zone. I was like, oh, I'm going to get started on this right away, dude. I put Khalil Mack on the top, and I'm like, oh, dude, nobody's going to talk about Khalil Mack to the Packers. Literally, 3 days later, dude, within 3 days, fucking NFL.com comes out with a list and says, Khalil Mack makes a lot of sense for the Packers. And I'm like, I don't disagree, but you goddamn bastards. You goddamn bastards. Oh, man. But it does make sense. Like I said, 100% effort, veteran, wants to win. He would be great for the locker room. He would fit right in with the culture, I think. And don't you think it'd be hilarious when we play the Bears if Khalil Mack gets a big-time sack? Don't you think that would be funny?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little bit of a revenge factor why I had him number one, honestly. But
All right. All right. You ready to switch to offense?
I am.
All right. Let's talk offensive free agents. I went first for defense. I'll let you go first for offense. Hit me with your number 15.
All right, so my number 15 is a guy that's actually coming off of an injury, but he's a pretty decent player. You'll notice my 14 and 15, I feel very similar about both of them. They're just going to be depth pieces that can play multiple positions, center and guard. That's really where we're kind of lighter, I think, on the offensive line, especially. I have a shit ton of offensive linemen, by the way.
So do I.
The Hammond Bears. Oh, don't get me started on that conversation.
Indiana Bears. Here we go.
Oh, God. My first guy is
I don't think he's a free agent.
he's not.
Not till next season.
It's Brady Christensen, guard center from the Carolina Panthers. He's a good player, actually, but like I said, coming off a torn Achilles, he's like 29, I believe, right now. So he'll be hitting the ripe young age of 30 years old. Like I say that now because I'm in my mid-30s now. But he would just be a good, decent depth signing.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he is on my list. My number 15, I have actually David Njoku, the tight end from the Browns. Spot Track has his market value right around $10 million, which is right where I kind of think the Packers are going to be capped. He does grade well below in run and pass blocking. He is a pass catcher. In 2025, he caught 33 of 46 for 293 yards and 4 touchdowns. Those numbers don't jump off the page for $10 million, but he didn't commit any penalties in 515 snaps. It was 9 of 12 on contested catches, which is something he gets a big bump for. And he was also playing for the Browns, who had Harold Fannin Jr. kind of emerge as their future. So he did lose some snaps to a young guy. So that's why I got that going. Some of the potential lost opportunities. I will just throw this out there. Should have done this before I gave my number 15 guy, but offensively, I didn't have as many free agents. I started with 37, ruled out the bad ones and the ones that were a little bit too expensive. I had 18 that I liked. I did have 7 that I thought would cost too much, so I got down to 11 to fill out my top 15. I looked at 7 cheap depth guys, not necessarily guys that I'd want starting, and I picked 4 of those guys to round out my top 15. So, Jake, who's your number 14?
Before I go, Njoku and Kraft will go freaking insane, by the way.
Yeah.
That'd be a nasty tight end room. I have some tight ends on here as well. My list is basically offensive line and tight ends. I'm just going to be honest with you.
All right.
I have a couple wide receivers.
I have 2 pages. My literal top 8 is all offensive linemen.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. There's one skill position player.
My number 14 is Sean Ryan. Again, I feel like he's more of a depth piece than a starter. But he can play left guard, right guard. He can play center. So he'd just be a good guy to keep on the roster, be the extra O lineman if you want to go to that package again. And then, I don't really have to say much about Sean Ryan because we all know who Sean Ryan is.
Yeah. Number 14 for me is Brian Robinson. He was traded to the San Francisco 49ers from the Washington Commanders. Doesn't have a market value listed, but I'm guessing he's probably going to be like a minimum contract kind of guy. Nothing that really jumped off the page for him in San Francisco. So kind of hard to jump off the page when you're playing behind Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Like David Njoku, he's not a good blocker in my eyes. He'd be basically an Emmanuel Wilson replacement. In 2025, he ran 95 times for 404 yards. It's a 4.3 yard per carry. 2 touchdowns. Did have looking at Emmanuel Wilson, he had 126 carries for 499 yards, so 4.0 yards per carry, and 3 touchdowns. So kind of similar seasons if you're looking at it that way. And then he caught 9 of 13 passes for 24 or 28 yards, which 30 – the crazy thing about the 28 yards is that he had 34 yards after the catch.
Oh.
So basically he was used for screens, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he's super low on my list. So who's your number 13?
All right. Disclaimer, this is not going to happen. But this guy being a free agent and how good he is, I couldn't just throw him at 15 because I was like, yeah, he's better than these two. But I threw him down this low on the list because he is that good. Mike Evans.
That's where I thought you were going to go with that.
Dude, when I saw his name, I was like, what the fuck? They let him be a fucking free agent? I was like, what are they doing over there, dude? That guy is not allowed to be a free agent. When he's setting NFL records, playing for one franchise, what do you want again? Yeah, okay. You can.
You're a free agent next year? Yeah, we're going to re-sign you now.
Yeah. I just thought it was silly that he became a free agent, but can you imagine Mike Evans on this roster, dude? Taking deep shots from Jordan Love? Oh, my God, dude.
Taking anything from Jordan Love.
And he's a good run blocker. He's a winner. He's going to get you 1,000 yards. He's going to play every freaking day. Mike Evans would be an absolute stud.
We've seen the Packers, and I know this because I'm the one that's covered the red zone or the red zone offense at times. The Packers struggle from the 10 to 19 yard part of the red zone.
Yeah.
If you're in that situation, we're just going to spam Mike Evans.
Seriously, dude.
Justin said the same thing. He's a franchise guy. It's crazy how he's a free agent. That's one of those guys. Like we said, he's a guy that shouldn't reach free agency.
I had to have him on the list. I was like, yeah, I got to have this guy on the list. Dude. He's too good not to be on the list.
All right. Number 13 for me is Mitch Trubisky, actually. He's been Josh Allen's backup for 2 years. He has a career 64.3 completion percentage. He has 80 touchdowns to 48 interceptions. He has a little bit of sneaky mobility, which we know because we've seen it when he was in Chicago. Kind of similar to Jordan Love. Like, he doesn't run very often, but he can if he has to. He's a decent under pressure guy. He has experience, and he would be cheap.
I like it. So my number 12, we're on number 12 now, is a guy who was drafted, I believe he was drafted top 5. You'll have to correct me when you hear the name. Was a tackle, switched to guard, played for the New York Giants, and I'm talking about Evan Neal.
I think he was number 4.
Number 4, yeah. I thought he was top 5. I couldn't remember. But he's a guy that's obviously struggled, with a position change, being drafted top 5. I think that he could be a candidate for a guy that a change of scenery could revitalize his career. I think he would come super cheap. Obviously, they declined. I mean, he's been paid already for being drafted that high. So why not come to Green Bay? Green Bay is the place to find out to revitalize your career. It's happened throughout our entire lives, dude. People come to Green Bay. We make them good because we're a good franchise. We have good coaching. Like, that's just how it works, right? So Evan Neal would be a fantastic signing for the Green Bay Packers. Are you frozen right now? I think Tyler's frozen right now. All right, so I don't know how much farther I should go on my list than being frozen. Let me see here. Remove. Add to stage. Definitely frozen. So let me text him.
We're good. We're good.
You good? Okay. I was going to text you and tell you to restart, and then I was just going to freelance for a sec, but you're back already. So
I'm back. Justin said Evan Neal's a great blocker and a team player.
He would be a good signing, dude.
I think to your point, too, he's not going to be a guy that the Packers signed to like a 4-year, $30 million deal. He would absolutely be the kind of guy that signs for like 1 year, $6 million just to try to get himself paid next summer.
Yeah, they would definitely lowball the fuck out of him, but be like, yeah, go earn a paycheck now.
Exactly. And then next year he gets a 4-year, $80 million deal.
And then we'll take the free draft pick. Thank you for your production in Green Bay.
Okay, so number 12 for me, Larry Borom. He's a Dolphins right tackle. He played 788 snaps at left tackle in his career. He'd be a swing tackle, in my opinion, thinking like a Yosh Nijman kind of guy, like affordable depth, but below average run blocker, but above average pass blocker. He allowed 15 pressures and 380 pass blocks. That's 3.7% pressure rate, which is super low. Allowed just 2 sacks, but he did have 5 penalties. But if we're looking at a swing tackle, I think Larry Borom would be a pretty solid cheap option.
Yeah, I like that. Next guy is a tight end from the Los Angeles Rams, and they got 100 of them now. So this guy's kind of getting pushed out the door. It is Tyler Higbee. Now, I do have a couple more tight ends on my list, but I just thought that Higbee, he's a very good route runner. He's a good receiver. He played with Goff. He played with Stafford. He played in a good offense, obviously, his whole career. So coming from that McVay tree down to LaFleur, who's kind of a stem off of that tree, I think he'd be a good fit. He's not a good run blocker, so he would basically be a better receiving version of Musgrave. That's how I look at
that. All right, number 11 is where I have Brady Christensen. Jake already mentioned him. For Carolina, he played 285 snaps at right guard in just 5 games last year. Doesn't have a lot of right tackle, but has experience. He's played 247 snaps at center, 349 snaps at right guard, 443 snaps at left tackle, and 1,064 snaps at left guard. So he has some versatility, he has experience, and he's affordable. For his career, he's allowed just 65 pressures in 1,206 pass blocks. That's a 5.4% pressure rate, which is super low. But in 2024 and 2025, he's graded out as a very strong run blocker as well. So Brady Christensen, I have at 11.
I like that. Number 10 is a wide receiver from the San Francisco 49ers. I have Jauan Jennings on my list. I think his talent is better than being number 10 on my list. But he just seems to be one of those guys, kind of like a George Pickens, and this is kind of where I'm going with this, where George Pickens got traded. He wanted to get paid. Now, I know Jauan Jennings was already paid, but no, obviously. But he wants to get paid again, right? That's just always how it works. So I think Jauan Jennings coming to Green Bay, he could be, a veteran replacement for a guy like Dobbs, since we're losing our hands guy, and Dobbs is probably going to get paid a lot of money because people will pay for wide receivers that catch the ball with their hands. And Jauan Jennings is coming off of an injury. He catches literally everything. So I would like Jauan Jennings on the Packers. I think he'd be a good fit.
My number 10 guy is also wide receiver, but a much less sexy option. A guy that I actually had on my list last season as a trade target. But I have Christian Kirk at number 10. He caught 28 out of 50 targets with the Texans last year, 239 yards and a touchdown. A year ago, he was on my target list because he played very well in Jacksonville and in Arizona. He's never been a great run blocker, but I'm very interested in having a cheap veteran wide receiver on the
Packers. Yes, I agree with that. My number 9 is Connor McGovern. He's a center from the Buffalo Bills. Center is a position that the Packers struggled at times during the season last year. They didn't really come into the season with a good plan, but I have this opinion on the Packers, and I've said this before. Sometimes when you just need a left tackle or you just need a center, just give me a goddamn left tackle or just give me a guy that plays center. Sometimes it's just like a puzzle piece.
Pick a specialist instead of a versatile.
Yeah, like I understand for the backups, like, this makes more sense. If this guy goes out, he can go left guard or right guard. I understand that. And I understand that with some of the starters, like making them, I get that. But we just need a center. We need a guy that plays just center. And Connor McGovern is pretty good, actually. So I don't think he'd break the bank. He's a little bit older now. So, but been on winning teams. He just never got to the mountaintop.
All right. Number 9, I actually have another wide receiver. And I have Tyquan Thornton. He's a guy who's trying to get his career back on track in Kansas City. Caught 19 out of 36 targets for 438 yards. That's 23.1 yards per reception. And 3 touchdowns in just 19 receptions. He had 10 out of his 19 catches go for 31 or more yards. 50% of his passes were 31 plus.
Right.
He's not a blocker. He could be cheap depth, and he would be, in my opinion, an insurance policy if Christian Watson or Matthew Golden are hurt as deep threats.
I like that.
All right. Top 8.
My number 8 is a guard that everybody knows. He's been around forever. He's been good forever. I have Kevin Zeitler. Good good.
Fellas. Simon said fellas. Welcome back, Simon.
He's just a good player, steady. You can plug him in at right guard. He instantly makes the run game better because we struggled getting push up front, but he's just an old head. He's got old man strength, and like I said, he just make the run game just more consistent. So that's what I'm about.
Number 8, I have also a guard. I have Dylan Parham. He played left guard for the Raiders this year, but he does have right guard experience as well. He had 992 snaps and has played a little bit of center. His market value is currently at 10.1 mil, so he's going to be right at the top of where I think the Packers can spend. But he's a good run blocker, good pass blocker, only allowed 28 pressures and 517 pass blocks, which is 5.4%, which is good. He did allow 6 sacks, which is a little high, especially for a guard, and had 5 penalties. But Geno Smith is also a cone, so take that for what it's worth.
All right, my number 7 is a guy that's kind of getting pushed out because of money, but he's a tight end out of Philadelphia, Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert with Tucker Kraft would be an elite combo.
Yeah.
Both guys can block. Both guys can catch the ball. He obviously has won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, so he has playoff experience. Dallas Goedert would be a disgusting combo with Tucker Kraft.
Yeah.
He is the second highest rated tight end I have on my list.
Nice. Number 7 for me, another offensive lineman, Brett Toth. He played 363 snaps as a left guard and a center for the Eagles. So I also have an Eagle at number 7. He looks like he would be affordable. He's an average pass blocker. He allowed 13 pressures and 199 pass blocks, which is 6.5%, which is a little high. His affordability and his 75.6 PFF run block grade are why he's so high on my list. So Steve asked, wasn't Goddard a Packers fan as a child too? I don't know.
I cannot confirm or deny that, but I would just assume yes because we're the fucking best. So here's my point.
Top 6.
My number 6 is a guy coming off of a tricep injury. He was a guard for the New York Jets. It is Elijah Vera Tucker. This guy is out of USC. Another guy that could play, a couple different positions. And when you watch this guy, this is an eye test guy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Another eye test guy. But he has all the tools to be an impact player, especially in the run game. He has really good feet, plays with really good leverage. So Elijah Vera Tucker would be the home run hit on the offensive line for me, personally, because he's a little bit younger too. So,
all right. Number 6, I also have an offensive lineman. I have Wyatt Teller, the right guard from the Browns. Like I mentioned with Shelby Harris, and actually my number 15 defensive guy was a Browns defensive tackle as well. I want pieces of the Browns' trenches. They have a good offensive line and a good defensive line. So Wyatt Teller, looking at it, the Browns, to give them credit, they are smart for building from the trenches first.
Yes.
I think that's fair to say. I want a piece of both of their lines. Teller does figure to get paid at probably about $10.2 million a year per spot track, but he's a good run blocker. He's a decent pass blocker, and he is an Iron Man. In 8 years, he's played 465 snaps at left guard, and 6,132 snaps at right guard. He's a spot that the Packers could use some stability at. I don't know if he's ever missed a snap in his 8-year career. And the Browns basically just confirmed last week, his wife actually made a post on Instagram thanking Cleveland. So he's basically guaranteed to not be re-signed by Cleveland. So Wyatt Teller is pretty high up on my list.
Spoiler alert.
Steve said per AI, Goddard did grow up a Packers fan, despite being named Dallas. Nice.
Yeah, interesting. So, number 5, right? It would be wrong for me not to have him on the list, even though I've had my issues with him in the past. I have Romeo Doubs in my number 5. Knows the offense. Dude, I just got done seeing the Instagram story, the post again, when I was making my list with him and all the wide receivers, and I was like, dude, you don't want to break up the boys, man. That's heart-wrenching, honestly. These guys grew up together when you think about it. They came into the league together. They became professionals together. So I would love to keep Romeo Doubs. It makes a lot of sense to me. There's just somebody that's got to leave to give Matthew Golden a little bit more runway. But I am very open to having Doubs come back. He was pretty awesome last year in a lot of games. He was
Yeah.
probably our most consistent guy. I mean, Christian Watson towards the end of the year, but if you're going like start to finish, Romeo Dobbs is probably the most consistent guy.
And then that's kind of where I've been at for the last couple of years is that Romeo Dobbs is the Packers' best all-around wide receiver. And, I mean, he's had a couple injuries, not as bad as Christian Watson's had. And one of them was directly caused by Kirby Joseph, so that's not his fault. But we'll throw this out there, too, when we get done with the rest of the offensive guys. Steve said he really enjoyed watching Romeo come out of his shell this year.
That was nice.
Yeah. Shocking. More offensive linemen on my list. My number 5 guy is Ben Barch. He played 200 snaps in 6 games for San Francisco, which should help make him affordable. He graded above average in run blocking and pass blocking, has experience at both guard spots, and has a career 5.2% pressure rate allowed. So just more solid offensive lineman. Yeah, I agree, Justin. He's a dirty player. He dove into Romeo Dobbs' ankle, and I've hated him ever since.
If Tyler and I ever get into the T-shirt making business, that's going to be one of them right there. I will literally put that on a shirt. I will wear that thing loud and proud. I don't give a shit. My number 4, this guy is a freaking brick wall in the run game, and he's a good pass catcher. You can run any offense with this guy at tight end. It is Cade Otton, tight end from Tampa Bay. I love me some Cade Otton. He is steady Eddie. He is the wide receiver version of Romeo Dobbs. I mean that with every fiber of my body. The guy shows up to work. He does his goddamn job. But in the world of 2 tight end offenses, you need 2 of them. Cade Otton plays every single game. He catches every pass. He doesn't wear gloves, so he's a little bit of a throwback. But, man, him and Tucker Kraft, now that would be a freaking problem, dude, because both of them want to block you into the dirt. I would love that. Cade Otton would be amazing.
All right. My number 4 is Ethan Posich. He is a very similar price point to his Cleveland teammate, Wyatt Teller. He played 826 snaps at center. Looking at him, he graded above average in the run and the pass, has over 5,200 career snaps at center and a career 4.2% pressure rate. So where Jake's talking about getting a guy who does one thing that we need someone to do, Ethan Posich would be a center. You play center. Justin's very on board with your Cade Otton pick, by the way.
Dude, it would be a match.
All right, top 3.
So that guy you just talked about is my number 3. I have Postage as my number 3. I was looking at the Browns, and I was like, what are the Browns good at? Because I was going through all my trades and stuff, and I'm looking at all these bad teams, and I'm just like, I'm shocked that the Browns were as bad as they were. Honestly, they should have leaned on the run more with how bad they were with the pass. And I understand you still have to be able to pass, but man, he would fix a lot of things.
Quinshon Judkins did have a pretty bad injury, so like that's unfortunate. But I get what you're saying.
But again, you said what I said. A guy that plays center could fix the problem at center. Sign me up.
Yeah. All right, number 3. This is the only skill guy that I have in my entire top 8, and it's Tyler Algier, running back from the Falcons. I have him as my number 3. Looking at backup running backs, he's a guy I could see potentially replacing Wilson and Brooks in one guy, potentially freeing up a roster spot, which is something in my mind that could potentially be important. He is a great pass blocker. He ran for over 1,000 yards his rookie year before Bijan got there. As a career 4.3 yard per carry, averages 4.5 touchdowns a year. He actually had 8 touchdowns in 2025 as a backup.
Yeah, you know what to remind me? He was the backup to my freaking star running back in fantasy football.
So looking at running backs, and this is something we are going to do running backs when we get to our draft series, just because we're looking at potentially replacing Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks. And unfortunately, we have to consider the possibility that we'll have to replace Marshawn Lloyd sometime in the next 2 years. Yeah. So running backs are going to be part of our draft series. Looking at the draft class, it's not going to be a long part of our draft series, but it's going to be part of it.
It is.
Okay, top 2.
My number 2 is Wyatt Teller. Come on down. He is, like you said, he is an Iron Man, plays every single day. You put that guy at right guard, you know who your right guard is going to be. And I would love if the strength of our line was on the right side. I love Zach Tom, getting Wyatt Teller over there. Maybe you draft a center. Maybe you bring back Sean Ryan for cheap and you like where he's at. If you get a little bit of luck on the offensive line, and hopefully Morgan works out at left tackle, your offensive line can be fixed by one move, honest to God.
Yeah.
So Teller would be amazing. Hoping for nothing but help for Zach Tom, and the right side of your line is just elite.
Yeah. Steve said also throughout there that Tyler Algier has 0 career fumbles. Also has the coolest name in the league.
I quite literally hate Algier after last year, dude. Like, literally, Bijan, like, it was like week 13. He had like 2 freaking touchdowns. And I'm like, this guy has 2 touchdowns, dude, but he has 180 yards every game, dude. What are we doing here? He'll get you to the 5, and you're just like, it was like when the Packers had Jamal Williams. Oh, Aaron Jones is going to get you down there? Jamal's going to finish it off. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Justin said he wants to see a healthy Lloyd so bad, just don't know that we ever will. It's tragic, honestly. And that's, unfortunately, that's kind of the issue with having guys that are super explosive and just like crazy athletic, is that their soft tissue issues flare up a lot.
Who is the guy the Packers had from UCLA that was a running back? He got hurt versus like Cincinnati or something like that. He reminds me of him.
Recently, or?
It was like 2016, 2015 maybe.
Would have been after Eddie Lacy, but before Jones and Williams.
Yeah. Damn it. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. Franklin is coming to my head for some.
Oh, was it Jonathan Franklin?
Yeah, it might have been, yeah. I feel like they're in the same boat. Like, dude, Jonathan Franklin, I feel like was going to be a problem, bro. And I feel like Lloyd could be a problem, honestly, but he just can't get on the field.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he was a guy that I didn't love the draft pick. Like, I would have liked him a round or 2 later, but I didn't love him where the Packers picked him. And now it's like I can't even see if I'm like a good ball knower or not.
Right.
So, which his health had nothing to do with why I wasn't super like on board with the draft pick. But I mean, yeah, it is Jonathan Franklin. Thank you, Steve, for confirming. Just got to see him on the field at some point for any length of time. My number 2 is Luke Fortner. He's a good offensive lineman at a little bit of a friendlier price. His market value per spot track is $6.2 million. He's played almost 3,000 snaps at center in the last 4 years for the Saints and the Jaguars. He's an above-average run blocker and is coming off of his best pass-blocking season. Actually, a guy that was pretty prominent on our lists when we were doing our first year of draft prep. So Luke Fortner is my number 2.
Well, I had a right guard, a center, and a tight end as my top 4. My number 1 in that is David Edwards, right guard from the Buffalo Bills. If you flip on the tape and you watch the games that James Cook was going crazy, they were running behind Edwards. He was the lead guy. Another guy that I'm looking at, where I'm looking at, trying to make the right side of the line just dominant, and we are run first offense. David Edwards fits that to a T. So I would love that as a signing.
He is one of the guys that I had in my like first batch of like yes group, but didn't make my list because I view him as potentially too expensive.
He's probably going to be expensive because he's a monster.
Yeah, which is fair. He's going to be expensive because his value is that high.
Earned the value, right?
Alrighty, so my number 1 is Austin Corbett, another Carolina offensive lineman. He is a guy where affordability meets good metrics. He's played all 3 interior offensive line spots. He's been an above-average run blocker for almost all of his 8 seasons across 3 different teams. Same goes for his pass blocking. For his career, he's allowed 117 pressures in 2,848 pass blocks. That's a 4.1% pressure rate. Only allowed 14 sacks in his career and has 15 penalties in his career across almost 5,000 snaps. So very, very affordable, experienced, reliable offensive line depth. or potentially starter if you want to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just going to throw this out and discuss this for any of the guys that didn't get mentioned in Jake's list. Looking at the Packers' pending free agents. So offensively, the Packers have Sean Ryan, John Fitzpatrick, Malik Willis, Romeo Doubs, Rasheed Walker, Donovan Jennings, Emmanuel Wilson, Darian Kennard, and Chris Brooks. Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks are both restricted free agents, and Donovan Jennings is an exclusive rights free agent. So the rest of them are unrestricted. Looking at mine, I basically said green, yellow, red. Green to keep, yellow to keep if the price is right, and red to let go. So looking at Sean Ryan, I had him green. You agree?
Yep.
Okay. John Fitzpatrick, I put in red to let him go.
Yep.
Malik Willis, I have yellow. Keep him if the price is right.
Sadly, it won't be, but I would love to keep with those.
Romeo Doubs, I did have in red just because I did look at the Matthew Golden pick as a potential replenishment of the wide receiver room. So that's why I had Doubs in red, just because I think he's going to price out of Green Bay. I
totally agree with you, but it just felt right to have him on my list.
I could easily be swayed to keep him if the price is right.
Yeah, 100%.
I just don't want to pay Romeo Doubs $20 million a year.
Yeah, either do I. If he takes a team friendly deal and he's around that 17, I would think about it. I really would.
I'd prefer to have him a little closer to like 15.
But you also have to think they're going to have to sign Christian Watson after this year.
I would rather extend Christian Watson at 15 than sign Doubs at 20.
100%.
Andrew asked the question, if we lose Malik, what are we going to do at backup quarterback? We did offense first, so you didn't catch we did offense second, so you didn't maybe catch my number 13 offense guy was Mitch Trubisky. That's an option. But we are also doing quarterbacks in our draft prep. So yes. That's there. Justin Aston might catch flack, but what do we do at kicker? Can't have a repeat of last year. You have an open competition all summer long between McManus and Haversick. That's
well, you got to think about McManus. He came in halfway through the year. The year before, he was dominant. Then this last year, he got hurt. He probably rushed back because, a substitute teacher was taking his job, which if it wasn't a kicker, that would be worse than Brady taking over for Bledsoe, honestly. A 6th-round pick out of nowhere. Like, dude, this guy's – they were calling him substitute teacher, and he was knocking everything through. Like, that's crazy. So I say we'll see if he stays healthy. A new special teams coach, maybe some things change. Yeah. I don't know. I would say give him a chance. I do like the open competition idea. Yeah.
Haversick was signed to a futures deal, so he's going to be with the team all season.
Yeah.
As far as backup quarterback, I was going to say our first draft series show is going to be quarterbacks and running backs. Yes. And Andrew, I would absolutely not have any interest in Colin Kaepernick. Mitch Trubisky is far more reliable and more of a similar play style to Jordan Love.
Dude,
also, Colin Kaepernick's like 37.
Yeah, dude, he hasn't played in like 10 years, bro.
Yeah. Rasheed Walker is the next one I have. I do have him in red as well to let him go. I do think Jordan Morgan is going to be the Packers left tackle this year. Justin said we need Brandon Aubrey to take a pay cut.
He's trying to get more money from Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe they'll trade him to us because they don't like paying players that are good.
Well, they're going to tag freaking George Pickens. They're not going to have any money left.
Yeah, well, they can give us Dak Prescott as our backup.
Dude, this is maybe hot. I would take Dak Prescott as our starter, dude.
Over Love?
I love Jordan Love, but Dak Prescott's better. I'm sorry, but he is.
I really like Dak Prescott.
It's hard for me to get him out of that ugly uniform, but, dude, he's a freaking beast.
He's got MVP potential, but so does Jordan Love. I mean, I would put him in like the same tier.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's way better than Jordan Love, but he's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Justin's saying that Brandon Aubrey's looking for $10 million. I would love to see the Cowboys pay a kicker double-digit money per year.
Oh, Jones isn't doing that. Jerry's trying to make money. What are you talking about?
Okay. Donovan Jennings, I have green, just he's an exclusive rights free agent. He was good, cheap depth. Emmanuel Wilson, as a restricted free agent, I have to let him go. I unfortunately get tired of seeing open cutbacks and Emmanuel Wilson being like, nah, I'm just going to run into the back of my offensive line. Matthew asked any veteran wide receivers. I threw Christian Kirk and Tyquan Thornton on my list.
Who did I have? Oh, I threw Mike Evans just because he was on there.
And you have Juwan Jennings on your list.
And Juwan Jennings and Romeo Dobbs. Juwan Jennings would be interesting coming off the injury. He might actually be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You did?
Yes, Matthew, you did see Micah Parsons trying to recruit George Pickens to the Packers.
He was trying
Not
to
happening. He's going to get franchise tagged and get $30 million from the Cowboys, but
dude,
yes, it would be very fun.
Dude, talking about this, did you hear? Yes.
Chalking up the lack of hydration.
Dude.
Andrew, you also just said that you would rather have Colin Kaepernick over Mitch Trubisky.
Dak Prescott is better than Jordan Love. I love Jordan, but Dak Prescott is better than Jordan Love. I'm sorry if you don't like that take, but it's true. I think everybody who likes football would say that. This is not on potential. This is about production now, okay?
I'm open to that take.
Dude, I hate the Cowboys. I love the Packers. I'm just saying. Where are the other guys? Should we tell them about?
I would just let's pump the brakes until they're ready.
Okay.
Let's let them announce their own stuff. Justin said Jerry will trade Aubrey in a 4th rounder for a pick and a bottle of Jack Daniels. I'll go buy him the biggest bottle of Jack Daniels I can find. And Steve said yes, he was approached by other Packers during Pro Bowl week. Yeah.
I don't know. Jerry's starting to look like he got hit with a bottle of Jack Daniels, to be honest with you.
Looks like he keeps one in his pocket at all times.
Dude, seriously.
Darian Kennard, I had yellow. Keep him if the price is right. I like him as the 6th offensive lineman at times.
Yep.
Matthew asked, what about the corner that the Packers cut and Packers picked up? Trayvon Diggs was actually on Jake's list. Yep. And then the last offensive guy that I have is Chris Brooks. I put him as a keep just because his pass blocking value is there. So, Steve asked the question, give Love, CD, and Pickens.
Are you suggesting that Jordan Love doesn't have a good offense? He has had a consistent play caller. He got to learn behind Aaron Rodgers.
The only thing that I would give Jordan Love as far as pass catchers go is health.
He's had a good offensive line. He's always had a good running back. I'm just saying, it's not like Jordan Love is friggin' playing with the fucking Cleveland Browns here, dude. He's not struggling. Are the Packers a bad offense? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think the Cowboys' offense is better overall.
Including offensive line and play calling?
I mean, you want to add in the running backs and the tight ends.
You think their running backs are better than the Packers?
It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the offense as a whole, like the Cowboys' offense was just humming last year.
Is Jake Ferguson better than Tucker Kraft?
No, but I would say he's top 10.
He's not better, so he has a better tight end. So Jordan Love is a better tight end, a better running back, and a better offensive line.
And Dak has better wide receivers.
I would rather have a better offensive line, running back, and tight end. And it's not like he's struggling at wide receiver. He just got a first-round wide receiver.
I think I hate saying this, but I think Matt LaFleur's play calling frustrates me to this question. Makes it hard to argue this question when you want to talk about play calling, because yes, the Packers have a good offense, but only when Matt LaFleur takes the fucking training wheels off.
Okay, Steve. Are they still better than the Cowboys' offensive line? The answer is yes. I would take the Packers' offensive line over the Cowboys. Yes. There's a reason that the Cowboys were drafting offensive linemen in the first round. Just saying.
Yep. Andrew said the Packers' offense have talent, but the tight end wide receiver combo is better than the Cowboys when healthy. I'm going to stick to just the wide receivers are better. They have 2 top 10-ish wide receivers. And I would say the Packers have 2 top 30? Question mark?
I mean, we also play a billion guys.
It's true. Which, yeah, again, that's LaFleur and Gutekunst that make that so. But all right,
I'm a collective guy, so sorry. Like collective talent overall, the Packers offense is better. If you take everything into consideration, the Packers offense is more complete.
see, and that's crazy because yes, it's more complete. It's more complete on paper, though.
That's all they're looking at.
I would look outside the paper. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm open to saying that Dak is better than Jordan Love, but they're in the same tier for me.
I agree. I would also put them in the same tier, but we had this conversation last year, but it involved the Eagles and Jalen Hurts.
That one's not a question in my mind. If you put Jordan Love on the Eagles too, that team is way better.
Dude, that team is disgusting with with the actual quarterback on their roster.
So I'm not going to say you're wrong for your Dak take, but I can't say 100% that I agree with you either.
That's completely fair.
Okay. I do have Bull Melton listed in between offense and defense. As a restricted free agent, I mean, I guess keep him. Matthew said take A.J. Brown. I don't want to pay what the Eagles are going to ask for him, unfortunately.
That guy is going to the Chargers.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Andrew said Love is better than Dak is better than Hurts. I don't disagree with that, and I feel like if you switch Dak and Love, I wouldn't disagree with that either.
That's fair.
Kind of where I'm at. Defensively, Quay Walker, Zane Anderson, Nick Neiman, Kingsley Enagbare, Brenton Cox is a restricted free agent, and Kamal Haddon is an exclusive rights free agent. And then, like Jake said, Trayvon Diggs is still signable. The Packers just didn't retain him because then they would have had to retain him at his 16 or 18 million, whatever price tag. So that's why he was cut. He can still be re-signed by the Packers. So Quay, I have as a keeper. I agree with you that if he's asking for too much, kind of similarly as Romeo Dobbs of the defense, basically, if he's asking for too much, might be time to let him walk. Matthew wants the Packers to hire Jake.
I would like my cat to stop hitting her goddamn head on everything.
Zane Anderson, I have yellow. Keep if the price is right. He's a decent depth on special teams.
Keep going. My cat's an idiot. I'm sorry.
Nick Neiman, I have red to let him go. Kingsley Enagbare, I have green to keep him. Brenton Cox, keep him. He's restricted. And then Kamal Haddon as an exclusive rights free agent. I have to keep him too.
Fine with that. I like Haddon.
All right, ready to talk some trades?
I have 3 trades.
Dude,
if they thought my Dak Prescott take was bad, holy crap, dude. Get out.
All right. All right, here we go. Trade targets for the Packers for 2026. Justin said Quay and Cooper are a good combo, in my opinion. I want to keep them together. I do too, as long as the price is right. Okay, let's talk trades. I have 3 as well. I'm going to be completely straightforward with you. I'm looking at players that I would trade. The guys that I had on my list were Rashawn Gary, Dontavian Wicks, Keyshawn Nixon, and Elton Jenkins. Those are the guys that I had that I was like, okay, I can see trading them. 2 of them made my trades in my top 3, so I have 1 guy that I would trade in 2 different packages. So you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You can go first. Let's see what you got.
All right, so I have Rashawn Gary in 2 different trade packages, my number 3 and my number 1 trade package. So my number 3 trade is basically Rashawn Gary and a 4th for a 3rd-round pick to anybody in the AFC except for the Jets, or in the AFC East except for the Jets, just because they're not really going to be in the market for a guy like Rashawn Gary. Looking at it from the Packers' perspective, you move up around in the draft just to get Rashawn Gary's money off your books and give him a change of scenery. Trading Gary does leave $17 million in dead cap, $8.5 in 2026 and 2027. So it does save the Packers a good amount of money there. Cutting him leaves the same, whether you do it pre or post. Changes things a little bit. If you cut him pre June 1st, it's $17 million dead cap this year, $8.5 next year. If you do it post June 1st, it's $8.5 and $8.5. So if you can get a team to take his entire contract, then I'm open to trading Rashawn Gary.
Yeah, we thought about this way differently. So number 3, I have the Titans getting the Packers' 3rd-round pick, a future 3rd or 4th-round pick, and just throw in a late-round sweetener, and we're going to get T'Vondre Sweat.
Oh, okay.
He fits the defensive tackle needs that the Packers want. Just a big, gigantic dude up the middle, taking up 2 other gigantic humans who are not as gigantic as he is. He would be a monster trade. That's my least hot take trade.
Okay. This one's a little spicy, and I have seen Elton Jenkins as a potential fit for this team. And I'll give you a hint. My number 1 is still like going to involve Rashawn Gary, but it's not just for getting his money off the books. That one is like a let's go get somebody. But my number 2 is Elton Jenkins and a conditional pick to the Arizona Cardinals for Denzel Burke and a 4th-round pick. So the pick would convey in 2027, conditional on how many snaps Elton Jenkins plays for the Cardinals. I would cap it at like a 3rd-round pick. So if the Cardinals get, say, 14-plus games out of Elton Jenkins, they get a 7th. If he plays like 9 games, they get a 5th. And if he plays like under 5 games, they get a 3rd-round pick. So that way Arizona has some reason to accept a guy who's had a lot of injuries if he doesn't play much in exchange for taking on his contract for us. And then looking at Denzel Burke, he was good in coverage as a 5th-round rookie last year for Arizona. Arizona actually has a lot of guys in their secondary, many of them who were picked with higher draft capital than Denzel Burke. So the Packers would get some young, good quality secondary play and a draft pick from the Cardinals for Elton Jenkins and a conditional pick.
I like that. So I have Elton Jenkins in a trade as well. This is my hottest take trade. I have to get this off the table. Okay, so the condition with this is the Browns have to take all of Jenkins' contract, all the big money, everything. So they get Jenkins, they get our 3rd-round pick, and they get our 7th-round pick, number 236.
Okay.
And we get Denzel Ward.
Oh.
They're losing offensive line in free agency.
They are.
They could take a guy. He's not super expensive. He does want a new contract. He's going to be less expensive than the guys they're losing. They can give up a guy like Ward because they have they have a lot of talent on defense, actually.
They do.
So they can probably afford to get rid of Ward, who's a little bit expensive.
Yeah.
But in the Packers case, you're just flipping Jenkins' money into Denzel Ward's money. And you also get a lockdown corner.
I'm down for that.
You are? Okay. I thought I was going to get some pushback on that, honestly.
So the way that I think this also makes sense from the Browns' perspective is Ward, I don't think, fits their rebuild timeline.
Exactly.
Like, he's going to get paid now.
Yeah.
Guy. Not that they don't have guys that are getting paid now, because obviously Myles Garrett is there, but he's just there because the Browns are going to give him more money than anybody else. So unfortunately for Myles Garrett, he's kind of just stuck there. Denzel Ward is a guy that the Browns can get off their books rather easily by doing a move like you said.
Yes.
So I can see that. Okay. My number 1's a little spicy.
All right.
It's a little spicy. It's a 1-for-1. And it's Rashawn Gary for Marlon Humphrey. Straight up.
Ooh.
That's 2 players who played below their talent level last year. They could use a change of scenery. 2 teams that have a little bit of depth at those positions that they could handle trading out of, especially before the draft. And their money is pretty similar.
Honestly, I would if I saw that trade come across my phone, I would be happy. I think Ravens fans would be happy too.
I feel like that's a pretty solid 1-to-1. Both teams are okay with it. Rashawn Gary for Marlon Humphrey. Let's send it in before the draft.
Yeah, seriously. All right. Here's a trade I talked myself into, bro. 4th-round pick, number 120. You get 7th-round pick, number 236. That's obviously the one everybody wants if you're going to take a 7th-round pick.
Right.
You throw a future mid-round pick in there, anything 4th or 5th round if you want it. Send that to Washington. The Packers are getting a guy that they need very badly. They need a guy with attitude. He's had some attitude issues in Washington. They need a guy who's going to play every single game. His name is Daron Payne.
Oh.
Dude, Daron Payne. Bro, I would send my 2nd-round pick for Daron Payne. I'm not even fucking kidding.
I think when we were just talking in the free agency part of it, and I mentioned that I would love to have one of the Titans defensive linemen, that Daron Payne would be a guy who is probably a little bit easier to get than Jeffrey Simmons.
Bro, yeah. I would love Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
or like Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
Like Daron Payne is like a next tier below those guys that you can be like a little more realistically like, hey, let's trade for that guy.
And
so I'm totally on board.
You can't block that guy one-on-one. You can't block Wyatt one-on-one. You can't block Parsons one-on-one. You got to double somebody, dude.
Yeah.
Daron Payne, the Packers desperately. And if you listen to on the Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade, you'll hear me say this on the radio tomorrow. The Packers desperately need an attitude adjustment. I am so sick of them being the nice guys.
I feel like we're going to get that with Jonathan Gannon a little bit. That is one of the things that he brings is fire.
Dude, they need it badly. I loved Hafley. I love the way he schematically he drew some things up. But man, oh man, do they need somebody that's ready to punch somebody in the freaking mouth.
Even his own players.
That's why we fell in love with Tucker Kraft, because he does a little bit of dirty work. He's dribbling people's heads off the ground. But if I see one more motherfucker go after my goddamn quarterback, dude. Go after my goddamn quarterback. And I brought this up on the radio. I said, do you remember 2016, it was the run the table year. The last loss we had that year was to the Tennessee Titans, if my memory, is telling me. We got blown out in Tennessee. Rodgers ran a touchdown in towards the end of that game.
Oh, yeah.
And he got hit in the end zone. And they went to freaking battle for that guy. And Devontae Adams was the first one over there. Where was everybody when Jordan Love was getting his head pushed down in Denver? They just stood there and watched it happen. That shit really did not sit right with me, dude. So I would love if they brought a guy in like Daron Payne, if nothing more than an attitude adjustment.
I can see that. Justin said, I could do that in a heartbeat. Gary hasn't lived up to his potential, and Humphrey is a lock. He wasn't last year, though. He wasn't. He struggled in Baltimore to the point that he's coming up in trade rumors.
Yeah.
And Steve said the Ravens feel like a team that develops pass rushers, not trading for them. I'd be all about Humphrey, though. The Ravens are going to have a new coach. They're going to have a new perspective.
Yeah.
So, Steve said when you mentioned Jennings, he also plays with an edge. That's a good point, Steve. Then that's part of why I looked at Marlon Humphrey as a potential option, just because I do feel like, not that they're going to be like open for business to the point that like I saw rumors when they fired Harbaugh that like, oh, the Ravens and the Raiders should trade the number 1 pick for Lamar Jackson. Like, I don't think they're that open for business, but I do think the Ravens are a little open for business having a new coaching staff. So that's why I do think, Humphrey is a potential option, and I do think it's a little bit outside of their culture, but I think it's a possibility, and I think the Ravens could use a pass rusher, and they still have plenty of good guys in their secondary, so they could afford to lose one that didn't have the best year.
That division is so weird too. Like the Steelers are on they're gonna have a new coach obviously too. I mean McCarthy, but they're in a weird spot where like they're in the spot where like they almost have to start over and rebuild.
Next year,
the Bengals just don't understand how to build a roster on a quarterback for some reason. So
what if we just give him another pass catcher?
Yeah, Joe Burrow's literally just gonna die in Cincinnati.
He's gonna die on the field.
And I feel like the Ravens are looking at this like, okay, we got Lamar, so we feel like they do have one of the best players in the NFL. All we have to do is win like 9 games. We can win our division. I wouldn't be shocked if 9 wins won that division next year.
Also wouldn't be shocked if 11 wins in that division gets you a wild card spot.
Very fair. If the Bengals get hot and they learn how to block,
On paper, that should be the best division in football, or one of the best divisions in football. On paper,
I don't
but
disagree.
the games aren't played on paper.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I agree.
there we have it. Our first show of the 2026 season, free agency. The quote-unquote tampering period is from the 9th to the 11th of March, I believe, and then free agency starts right after that. So we have a couple weeks. We didn't want to do this right before free agency started. We wanted to give this a couple weeks to marinate, and we can put some more content out there with the guys that we mentioned today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Jake and I will be back in, right after free agency starts is when we're going to start our draft series. So we're covering quarterbacks and running backs in the first week, wide receivers and tight ends in the second week. Then we're doing offensive line, and then we're doing defense all in one show, looking at D-line, edge, and cornerbacks. So that's going to be our draft series this year. We're doing it a little bit differently this year. Not just doing the top guys at every position. We're going to focus on it a little bit more, looking at the Packers picks. The Packers don't have a first-round pick this year. So in our mind, it doesn't make sense to list the top 10 tackles when 8 of them are going to get picked in the first round.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it a little bit more specifically on where the Packers are drafting and what makes the best sense for the Packers, and then ranking them based on where we would like to see the Packers pick these guys. So our draft series is going to be different this year. It's going to be much more Packers specific than just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the best 5 tight ends in the class kind of thing. So definitely tune in for that. It's something that we're going to be working very hard on, and hopefully we can get some more picks right this year for the Packers.
Before we leave, well, Justin, we'll see you tomorrow then, because that's the next episode, buddy.
Yes, tomorrow we'll be back discussing Bucks and Badgers basketball, and we're getting closer to being able to have our Brewers primer. We got to let some stuff in spring training kind of sort itself out a little bit before we start talking Brewers, but we're getting there.
Tyler Black today, huh?
Yeah.
5 ribbies,
Right.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, commenting along. We'll see you guys tomorrow and in a few weeks again on Tuesdays.
Yes, sir.